What's up, guys? We got UFC 103 Kape vs Almabayev full card picks and betting breakdown. I'm excited for this card. There's a lot of good matchups, a lot of bad matchups as well, but let's go ahead and jump right into it with the first bout of the night being Ramazan Temirov versus Charles Johnson. I like Charles Johnson. I've been going back and forth with these two, but I'm going with Charles Johnson. I think that striking-wise, he's going to be able to outstrike Ramazan. He has been up against power punchers time and time again in Sumerderji. He also has a win over Nicholas Moda, who is a power puncher. He has wins over Joshua Van, who is a very good, well-known power puncher and somebody who mixes it up to the body. So I got to go with Charles Johnson. I think that he has been up against a better competition, and I'm just not ready to fully believe in Temirov. I think that he's a very highly skilled and up-and-coming prospect, but I think that he is coming into this fight up against somebody who is a step up in competition in Charles Johnson, and that is why I'm going with Charles Johnson. I think that Charles Johnson is going to be able to outstrike Ramazan. I think he's going to be able to keep him at distance, keep him at bay, be able to use that jab to like I said, keep Ramazan Temirov at bay, mix up those combinations to the body, to the head, really rip the midsection of Temirov, also mix in some of those high and low snappy leg kicks. I also like the side of Charles Johnson being able to have somewhat of a grappling abilities. I feel like Temirov still has this gray area in terms of his grappling. We really haven't seen much of his grappling. We don't know how good his grappling is. All we know is that he is a very, very talented striker with great counter-striking abilities, with a stiff jab, and he's a very crafty striker. So, I don't know. I got to go with Charles Johnson. I think that well-roundedness has to go to Charles Johnson. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. I think that we're going to see him tag up Temirov. I think that, yes, Temirov is going to have some moments in the striking department, but I think that Charles Johnson will be able to be a little bit slicker, be able to move his head a lot more, be able to find some counter strikes off of Ramazan as he throws these lugging bombs, because sometimes he does get a little bit overzealous, leaving himself overextended and able to get clipped. So I got to go with Charles Johnson. I think he's more technical. I think that he has a more well-rounded skill set. So I got to go with Charles Johnson over Ramazan Temirov. I think he's going to check Temirov as he's on his up-and-coming rise. I really do. I'm not ready to believe in Temirov. Temirov has the win over Vergara, but I feel like that was kind of a handed victory. He was supposed to knock him out. Vergara is not that good of a fighter. And then you have the win over Takai over in Ryzen. And then you have the win over Hamato. These are all exceptional wins. He has exceptional knockout power. But let's be real, we haven't seen his grappling abilities. So that is still a gray area that we do not know. And I feel like, yes, Ramazan has a devastating left and right hand, but he has a puncher's chance in this instance, if you think about it. I like Charles Johnson. He's the more well-rounded fighter. He's been up against people that have a puncher's chance in Sumerderji. He's been up against Joshua Van, who is a up-and-coming prospect, and he beat him via a brutal uppercut. And then you had the win over Jake Hadley. I like Charles Johnson. He's going to get the better of Ramazan Temirov, and I think he's going to show that there are levels to this game, and Temirov is just not ready just yet. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight. With Charles Johnson sitting at a plus 116, Ramazan Temirov sitting at a negative 136. I like Charles Johnson at plus money. I think that he could definitely beat Temirov. He also has a huge reach advantage on Temirov, as well as a height advantage. So that is another advantage on his side. And Temirov does have good striking, but Johnson doesn't have great striking? What are we talking about? Johnson has been in there with some of the best fighters and has put them away in Joshua Van. So Charles Johnson is definitely the pick at plus 116 over Ramazan Temirov. I get Temirov is an up-and-coming prospect with a lot of hype, but I think that he's going to run into a brick wall in Charles Johnson. Over 2.5 for this fight, sitting at a negative 200. Under 2.5, sitting at a plus 160. I like the overs. I think that Charles Johnson wins this via decision. I think that it's a very tit-for-tat, back-and-forth brawl between these two, in which Charles Johnson gets the better of Ramazan Temirov. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Montana de la Rosa versus Luana, Carolina. And these are two very mediocre, very low-level women's fighters. And I'm not very excited for this fight matchup, to be completely honest. But the pick is Luana, Carolina. She is the better striker. She mixes up her shots a lot better to the head and to the body. She's got crafty combinations. She's got quick hands. She's got that stiff jab. And she's got a relatively good grappling skill set as well. Defensive-wise, she's very good at defensively snubbing takedowns, keeping it on the feet. She also is very good at quickly bursting back up to her feet. So I got to go with Carolina over Montana de la Rosa. La Rosa is going to be looking to take this down to the ground because she does have the grappling advantage, but it's not like a heavy advantage in terms of the grappling department. I think that she has a slight advantage in terms of the grappling. I think that in terms of striking, Luana has a way bigger gap in skill in terms of striking. She's a lot better of a striker than Montana, who is a lot clunkier on the feet, a lot slower on the feet as well. So I think Luana is going to be able to piece her up, pick her apart, and absolutely demolish her in this fight. Give me Luana, Carolina to beat Montana de la Rosa. Obviously, if I was you, I would not touch this fight in terms of betting, to be completely honest, because you have two inconsistent, mediocre fighters on both sides, but the pick is Luana, Carolina. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here, with Luana, Carolina sitting at a -135, Montana de la Rosa sitting at a +115. I like Luana, Carolina. I think she has the striking advantage, speed, and explosive advantage. And on the other side of it, Montana has the grappling advantage, but it's not a huge gap in terms of the skills of grappling. And then we have the over 2.5 for this fight sitting at a -450, under 2.5 sitting at a +350. I like the overs 9 times out of 10. These girl fights hit the cards, and I believe that this fight is definitely going to hit the cards, in which Luana, Carolina gets the 29-28 decision win over Montana de la Rosa. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Lucas Almeida versus Danny Silva. And I love this matchup. I think this is a very, very good matchup where the pick for me is Lucas Almeida. I think that Lucas Almeida is a very slick striker that brings a long, stiff jab to maintain that distance, to keep you at bay. He also mixes up his shots really, really well to the head and to the body. He's got snappy high and low kicks. He also has a very strong defensive grappling skill set. So I think that he could use that grappling skill set of his to keep Danny Silva from taking him down, keep it on the feet, and outstrike, outwork, and outdamage Danny Silva. I feel like Danny Silva's grappling skill set is being very overhyped. He doesn't have the greatest grappling skill set. He's not like a Khabib Nurmagomedov where he's taking you down and you ain't getting up. No, he leaves openings for people like Lucas Almeida to burst back to his feet, to create that space, and to allow him to get up. So I got to go with Lucas Almeida. I think that he's going to be able to outstrike Danny Silva, keep this on the feet, snub the takedowns, and beat the crap out of him. Danny Silva is going to look to take this down to the ground because of the fact that his striking isn't the greatest. He was getting absolutely pieced up in his last fight against Culibao on the feet. Not only that, he had the win over Pacheco, but Pacheco was a complete punching bag. That was like, I don't even know what to call that. Other than that, he was a complete punching bag. I feel like Danny Silva lacks in the striking department. He has a good grappling skill set, but I think that Lucas Almeida can fare just as well in the grappling side of things, and even better in the striking side of things, piecing up, picking apart, and damaging Danny Silva. So give me Lucas Almeida. And Lucas Almeida has a win over Timmy Kwamba where he looked good. And then, yes, he has the 2 losses where Andre Fili, knocked him out. I feel like that was a little bit of, I don't want to say luck, but it is what it is. It happened. He got hit with the perfect shot and got sat down. So it kind of, you got to take that one with a grain of salt. I do think he's better than this. He made the one subtle mistake and paid for it. And then you have the loss to Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is an absolute monster on the ground. Absolute monster on the ground when you compare him to Danny Silva. He is a way better grappler than Danny Silva. So take that one with a grain of salt too. And then you have the win over Michael Trizano via knockout. I mean, I think Lucas Almeida is an exceptional striker with a very slick type of style about him, and I think he's going to be able to maneuver, outstrike, outpick apart, and keep that distance from Danny Silva and get the better of him. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight with them not even being here. Am I blind? Lucas Almeida and Danny Silva, there we go. Lucas Almeida sitting at a plus 170. And Danny Silva sitting at a negative 200. The lines keep moving even more, which is crazy to me. I mean, Lucas Almeida was sitting at a plus 200 to start off. Then he dropped all the way down to a negative 110. Now sitting at a plus 165, plus 155, all the way up until a plus 170. So a lot of money coming down on Danny Silva. And I don't know. I don't think that's the call. I think striking-wise, Lucas Almeida is the better striker. I think grappling-wise, he could fare well in the grappling, snubbing the takedown, sticking to the feet, and beating Danny Silva. I feel like Danny Silva's grappling is being overhyped as hell. But over 1.5 sitting at a negative 265, under 1.5 sitting at a plus 205. I like the overs in this fight. I think that this fight does hit the cards. I think it's Lucas Almeida walking away with the decision win. I think he's going to try and maintain that distance, kind of keep Danny Silva at bay, kind of outstrike him, outpoint him, and outwork him. Give me Lucas Almeida via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Andrea Lee versus JJ Aldrich. Another mediocre fight on this card in terms of women. I mean, these are both low-level fighters in terms of the women's division. I don't like to see this. I wish they would have mixed it up a little bit more, threw in a little bit higher of a tier girls fight, and then had the lower tier lower on the card. But no, they threw in two shitty, mediocre, low-level women's fights, in which I am going with JJ Aldrich over Andrea Lee. I mean, I cannot pick somebody that is on a complete five losing streak, a 5-loss streak. Like Monte de la Rosa, the loss to Miranda Maverick, not bad. The loss to Natalia Silva, the loss to Macy Barber, and then the loss to Vivian Araujo. I get that these are pretty much well-rounded and really skilled fighters, but again, she's going up against another skilled fighter in JJ Aldrich. I mean, JJ Aldrich is a crafty veteran. She's a very, very crafty veteran with clean, quick combinations. She's got quick hands. She mixes it up on the feet fairly well. And she's got a relatively good boxing skill set. In terms of the inside boxing, I think that she has that advantage. In terms of the striking from the outside, I think that she still has that advantage as well. I think she's very good with her striking. I think she also has a relatively good grappling skill set. I like JJ Aldrich. I think that we could see her beat Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee is a relatively good fighter with decent striking and good grappling skill set, but I still think that JJ Aldrich is better. I really do. I think that she has the quicker transitions. I think that inside the green zone, I think that she's the better striker. I think that she has the more brutal shots. I think that she has the quicker hands, the cleaner combinations. I gotta go with JJ Aldrich. JJ Aldrich is coming off of the loss to Veronica Hardy, which isn't the best look, but she has the win over Montana De La Rosa before that, which Andrea Lee lost to. Quick MMA match right there, but, that's never right. And then you have the win where she knocked out Na Liang. I mean, dude, JJ Aldrich sometimes is a little inconsistent, yes. But that's how these women fighters are. I mean, they're inconsistent. And then you have, on the other side of things, inconsistent isn't even a thing. I mean, she has 5 losses. There is no consistent for her. She is just not UFC caliber, and she is going to get beat by a UFC caliber fighter in JJ Aldrich. Give me JJ Aldrich over Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee is going to lose. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight. With JJ Aldrich sitting at a negative 195, Andrea Lee sitting at a plus 170. I believe Andrea Lee is not UFC caliber and will be showed that in this fight where JJ Aldrich will piece her apart, pick her apart, outwork her, and outdamage her. Give me JJ Aldrich to beat her. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 550. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 400. I like the overs. Like I said, majority of the girl fights go the distance. And I see this one going the distance with JJ Aldrich actually getting the better of Andrea Lee. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Douglas Silva de Andrade versus John Castaneda. I love this match. This is going to be one of the best fights on this card for sure. I am going with John Castaneda. I think that he has a great striking skill set with devastating knockout power. He has quick, clean combination. He thrives in a brawl. He has nasty inside boxing with a solid grappling skill set to fall back on if he has any trouble in the striking department. He has strong takedowns, quick transitions, tricky submissions. Give me John Castaneda to beat Douglas Silva de Andrade, who is coming to the later end of his career. Yes, he has good striking, don't get me wrong, with the quick stiff jab, quick hands, but sometimes throws these looping, wild hooks that I feel like John Castaneda will see coming a mile away and get countered. So I gotta go with Castaneda. I think that he's going to be able to counter Douglas de Silva as he throws these looping shots and get picked and pieced apart. I could see Castaneda dropping him, landing some brutal ground and pound to finishing it up. I really think that Castaneda is going to end this early. I think that the power of his is insane. He has nasty hand speed. I like this fight. I really do. Douglas de Silva de Andrade coming off of the loss to Miles Johns, and then the win previously to Cody Stanman before that, and the loss to Said Nurmagomedov before that. I mean, he has losses to some good competition. Miles Johns is a relatively good fighter. Same with Said. Obviously, he's a very fucking good fighter. And then you have the win to Sergey Morozov, who is 17-4. He got the rear naked submission choke. Douglas Silva de Andrade is no bum, no slouch. It's just he's going up against an absolute animal that just never gives up. John Castaneda is one of the toughest, most gritty and durable fighters I have ever seen. He is insane. He thrives in a brawl, and he is going to beat the crap out of Douglas de Silva. I think Douglas is kind of the same thing. He thrives in a brawl. He likes to brawl it out. He likes to enter the pocket and slug it out. But I think that he's going to run into an absolute brick wall this time. I think John Castaneda is going to lay him flat out if he decides to enter that pocket with him. So give me John Castaneda via knockout. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here. With John Castaneda sitting at a -230, actually -260, and Douglas Silva de Andrade sitting at a +220. I like John Castaneda sitting at a -260, over 2.5 sitting at a -270, under 2.5 sitting at a +210. I think Castaneda can knock him out. I'm going to be completely honest. I think Andrade, coming to the later end of his career, hasn't been looking the best, has been looking a little bit slower and more clunky on the feet, leaving himself open to counters, and I think Castaneda can land that counter and put him out. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Ricardo Ramos versus Chepe Mariscal. And the pick for me is Chepe. I think that he's tough. He's gritty. He is going up against a relatively tough opponent in Ricardo Ramos, who was a very highly touted prospect a few years back. He was a very, very highly touted prospect, but now he has been looking worse and worse. He really hasn't been improving his skill set at all. You have the loss to Guov, and then you have the win over Danny Chavez, which is all right. I mean, Chavez isn't really the best, to be completely at all. The loss to Charles Jourdain, where he got submitted. The loss to Julian Rosa, where he got submitted as well. And then the win over Culibao. An all right win over Culibao. But still, I think that Chepe Mariscal is going to get the better of him. I mean, Chepe is just like Castaneda in the sense that he's tough, he's gritty, and he is a great striker with devastating knockout power. He mixes up his shots really, really well to the head and to the body. He's got snappy high and low kicks. He's got good grappling to fall back on with strong takedowns if he needs to. And then on the other side of it, you have Ricardo Ramos, who has good striking with quick hands, with decent combinations and relatively quick hands. I do think that Chepe is a little bit quicker and a lot more powerful. Though Ramos has decent grappling. I mean, he got submitted by Rosa and Charles Jourdain, so his grappling really isn't the best. He has all right jiu-jitsu with decent takedown defense, so I think that Chepe Mariscal is the call here. I do think that the odds are fairly wide, which we're going to get to in a second. Let's go ahead and move right along to the odds. with Chepe Mariscal sitting at a negative 500. I think that this is ridiculous. I think that Mariscal is a very good up-and-coming prospect, but I think that he hasn't fully proven himself to be a negative 500 against somebody like Ricardo Ramos, who, yes, hasn't really progressed and gotten better. So I understand that side of things, but still, I still think that these are both too gritty, too tough, durable opponents in which I don't think the odds should be this wide, but I still think Mariscal is going to beat Ricardo Ramos and get the better of him via decision. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 115, under 2.5 sitting at a negative 145. I did not mean by decision, by the way. I meant by knockout. I like Mariscal by knockout. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. I love this matchup. The pick for me is Sam Patterson. If we're talking about well-rounded, we're going Sam Patterson over Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow is an exceptional striker, but when it comes to grappling, he is flawed. He is flawed in the grappling department. His grappling skill set is not good at all. He is easily taken down. He is not good at creating that space to get back to his feet and explode back up to his feet. Yes, he is a very, very talented striker with phenomenal knockout power and devastating hand speed. But I think that Sam Patterson, with his length, his reach, can see those shots coming straight down the middle. He can time them. He can maneuver. He can even land some takedowns as Barlow's throwing those straight shots. So I like Patterson. I think that we're going to see him use the grappling advantage of his to take down Danny Barlow. Maybe eat away at Danny Barlow's power and gas tank early in this fight to diminish Danny Barlow. And to really just eat away at that gas tank. I feel like Danny Barlow lacks in the gas tank. I feel like he lacks in the cardio. As the fight goes on, it's going to favor Patterson. Not only that, Patterson has relatively good striking. It's not like he is a horrible striker. No, he's a relatively good striker with knockout power. He mixes up his shots really, really well. He has that long, stiff jab, and he knows how to use it. So I gotta go with Sam Patterson. I feel like if we're talking about well-rounded fighter, he is the more well-rounded fighter. There's holes in Danny Barlow's game, and I feel like Sam Patterson can fully exploit them and take this down to the ground where he has the ultimate advantage, garner the control time, land some devastating ground and pound, and get the victory over Danny Barlow. Give me Sam Patterson. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here. With Sam Patterson sitting at a plus 250, Danny Barlow sitting at a negative 300. I think the odds are crazy. I'm going to be honest. I think Sam Patterson is being slept on. I feel like he has really, really good striking. He's very elusive, very mobile on the feet. Sometimes he does get a little bit overzealous, leaving himself open for a counter shot. But I think that he's going to be a little bit smarter and take this down to the ground where he has the advantage. He has the clear-cut grappling advantage. Take Danny Barlow down, eat away at that gas tank, eat away at that power, and then you can start striking with him. As he starts losing that the power and the speed, you'll see Sam Patterson start taking over and getting the better of Danny Barlow. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 115, under 1.5 sitting at a negative 115 as well. A very coin flip on the odds for the rounds. I think over is a call, and I think it's Sam Patterson being elusive, being slick on the feet, out striking, and out grappling a Danny Barlow. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this main card in William Gomis versus Hyder Amil. The pick for me is William Gomis. He is a technical fighter that is super slick and elusive on the feet. He is very, very good with his striking. He has crazy knockout power. He's got counter striking abilities as well. I like William Gomis. Even with his grappling, he has a very, very good defensive grappling skill set. He's going to try and stick on the feet, keep Hyder Amil at bay, make sure to maintain that distance, use that jab to not let Hyder Amil get close, try and go in for those takedowns. I don't see it happening for Hyder Amil. I really don't see any takedowns or even those power hooks of his landing. I think it's William Gomis being the more technical fighter, being smart, being patient, being calculated, and just tagging up Hyder Amil. I think Hyder Amil is going to get more angrier as this fight goes on, as he sees William Gomis tagging him, getting out of range, tagging him, getting out of range. You'll see Amil start getting more aggressive, more angrier, and just really trying to force these encounters that are going to leave him wide open for counter strikes from William Gomis, who is a very, very lethal counter strike puncher. So give me William Gomis over Hyder Amil. I think that he dismantles him, outstrikes him, outworks him, and outdamages him. Yes, Hyder Amil is a great prospect on the rise with a 10-0 a 10-0 record. Holy shit. But he's got the win over Jiang Li, where Jiang Li has -5 fight IQ. The win over Fernie Garcia, where he knocked him out. And then the win over Somnez in the Contender Series. Hyder Amil has devastating knockout power. Don't get me wrong. He's a powerhouse. But against a technical tactician like William Gomis, I just don't see him winning. I really think Gomis is going to stay on that outside, outstrike, outpoint him. We could see Gomis land some nice kicks as well from the outside. I think he's going to frustrate, piss off Hyder Amil. Amil's going to start making these simple mistakes because of the fact that he's so angry, start getting more aggressive, and leave more openings for William Gomis to absolutely exploit and destroy. So give me William Gomis over Hyder Amil. And let's look at the fight odds on this fight. With William Gomis sitting at a -210, Hyder Amil sitting at a +180. I like William Gomis. He's the more technical fighter. He's more patient, more calm, more calculated, and he's going to destroy Hyder Amil. Over 2.5 sitting at a -265, under 2.5 sitting at a +205. I like the over. I think William Gomis gets the better of Hyder Amil via decision. Let's go to the next fight on this card in Austen Lane versus Mario Pinto. I love this matchup. First off, the heavyweight division is lacking severely. So this is somebody that we needed in Mario Pinto to come in and absolutely shake this heavyweight division up. The pick obviously is Mario Pinto, if you guys couldn't tell. Mario Pinto is a devastating puncher with lethal knockout power. Not only that, he has deadly accurate. He is deadly accurate, and he brings a very, very good grappling skill set as well. He's a very well-rounded fighter. I like Mario Pinto wherever this fight goes. Austen Lane is a very inconsistent fighter that is chinny and kind of lacks in the cardio department. I gotta go with Mario Pinto. I think that anywhere this fight goes, he's gonna have that advantage. You had Austen Lane, who had the win over Rebellis Despain. Despain is a can. I mean, he has a very good striking, but we saw that he has no good grappling. He got absolutely exposed in the grappling department. So then Austen Lane got the easy W via just using the grappling side of things. I don't think that this is going to go like that at all. I think Mario Pinto is honestly going to knock out Austen Lane. I think that he's a way better striker. I think he's more explosive, and I think he's a lot slicker on the feet than Austen Lane. I think Austen Lane is going to get absolutely destroyed. Like, I'm talking about wiped off the map with this one. I really do. Mario Pinto by knockout is a call. I think that he's going to be elusive. I think he's going to land a counter shot on Austen Lane because of the fact that Austen Lane gets a little bit overzealous, headhunt, and leaves himself open for counter shots. And I think Mario Pinto will land that counter shot and put him flat out on the mat. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight. With Austen Lane sitting at a +305, Mario Pinto sitting at a -370. Like I said, I like Mario Pinto. I think that he is something that this heavyweight division needs. He's going to go in there and he's going to shake things up. And I think that he's going to deliver a knockout finish here over Austen Lane, who is just too inconsistent, who is also chinny, and just lacks in the cardio department. Give me Mario Pinto via knockout, sitting at a -370. I love the odds. Over 1.5 sitting at a -105. Under 1.5 sitting at a -125. Obviously, in terms of rounds, I would say under 2.5 would be the call. I think that Mario Pinto finds a way to knock out Austen Lane, and I think it's through a counter shot. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this main card in Nasrat Haqparast versus Esteban Ribovics. And if I botch that name, I apologize, but the pick for me is Esteban Ribovics. He is riding an absolute high off of his win against Daniel Zellhuber, which I actually had Daniel Zellhuber to beat him, but he ended up going in there and showed me that he had phenomenal inside boxing. He's got quick hands. He's got crafty combinations. He's got slickness about his striking that I really like. And he's willing to step up in the pocket and absolutely slug with you. And he's got devastating knockout power. I am becoming a fan of Ribovics. I really am. I like his fighting style. I think that he's a madman, and he is willing to step up in the pocket with anybody and strike with anybody toe-to-toe. So I gotta go with Ribovics. I think that he can get it done against Nasrat. I do believe that Nasrat still could get this done. I think that Nasrat is a very talented striker. I think that this is a very good matchup between these two. You have Nasrat, who's coming off the win against Jared Gordon. The win previously before that against Malarkey, where he knocked him out. Then the win before that against Quinones. I mean, dude, Nasrat is a very well-rounded fighter as well. He mixes it up to the head and to the body very well. He's got devastating knockout power as well. He's got clean hands. He's got crafty combinations, just like Esteban Ribovics. I do, however, think that Ribovics has the more explosive hands and the quicker hands. So I got to go with Ribovics in terms of striking and in terms of explosive and speed advantage. Not only that, I think he brings a good grappling skill set if he has any trouble in the striking department against Nasrat. So I am picking Esteban Ribovics, especially after these clean wins over Daniel Zellhuber, the win over Terrence McKinney via head kick. Esteban Ribovics is a very well-rounded fighter. You will see some head kicks, some body shots. He is a very good striker, and that is why I'm going with Ribovics. Let's look at the odds. Nasrat sitting at a plus 210 and Esteban Ribovics sitting at a negative 250. I like Esteban Ribovics. I think he's going to get it done against Nasrat. I really do. I think that he's quicker. I think that he's more explosive. I think that he's going to have the striking advantage. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight, but I think it's Ribovics getting the better. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 225. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 185. Honestly, I could see this fight going under. I'm going to be honest. You got two really good strikers, and they both have brutal knockout power. Nasrat has that overhand left that is absolutely brutal. Ribovics has these disgusting hooks that are nasty with a tremendous amount of power. I'm going Ribovics. I think he's going to have more success in the inside boxing range as well as the outside boxing range, being able to enter and exit the pocket with ease against Nasrat. I also think he's going to have success with those high and low snappy kicks. So give me Esteban Ribovics over Nasrat. And let's go ahead and run it to the co-main event in Cody Brundage versus Julian Marquez. And there's a reason I'm making this face. What the hell is this co-main event? You have the starting fight as Charles Johnson versus Temirov, and you're telling me you have the co-main event as Cody Brundage versus Julian Marquez? What in the hell is this? This is literally if you were to walk into a bar and see two people brawling, you're going to think it's Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez. Like, these two are just people you would see brawling it out in a bar, to be completely honest. I am going with Cody Brundage. I can't pick Marquez. I think that he has taken too much damage as of lately, especially against Rodriguez, where he got absolutely starched. And then the loss to Burial, starched. The loss to Zach Reese, starched. I mean, dude, his chin isn't there. He really is coming to the later end of his career, not looking the best. His striking is very awkward, clunky, and just slow. I got to go with Cody Brundage. Not only that, something that I want to bring up about Marquez is that he only fights once a year. Zach Reese, then you have Burial, then you have Rodriguez. He fights once a year. He is a very half-assed fighter, if you will. He doesn't take it seriously. I got to go with Cody Brundage. Even though they are both mediocre and inconsistent, I think that Cody Brundage is better. I think that he's going to be able to deliver some nice blows to Julian Marquez and mix it up and even land some takedowns as well. He's got good grappling. So I see Cody Brundage mixing it up on the feet and in the grappling department and getting the better of a Julian Marquez, who is just a part-time fighter and coming to the later end of his career, and also has taken a lot of damage as of lately. So you got to go with Cody Brundage. I feel like there's no other way on this one. And the odds on this fight sitting at a plus 126 for Cody Brundage. So some money is coming in on Cody Brundage. And then for Marquez sitting at a negative 146. I don't understand this. I really don't. I think that Cody Brundage should be the call for everybody, because he is just better in every way. And striking wise, he's a lot better than Marquez. He's got the devastating knockout power. He mixes up his shots better. He's got the speed advantage 100% against Marquez. Marquez likes to throw these looping wild shots and just is super awkward and clunky on the feet. So I think Cody Brundage is a call, sitting at a plus 126. I think that you get great value out of him. Over 1.5 sitting at a plus 105. Under 1.5 sitting at a negative 135. I think under 2.5 is a call. And I think it's Cody Brundage knocking out Julian Marquez or getting the technical knockout over Julian Marquez. And let's go ahead and run it to the main event. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and join the flock. We got members only Discord, members only shorts, as well as members only live bets every single week. So join the flock in the description below. And let's go ahead and jump right back into this main event with Manel Kape versus Austen Almabayev. And the pick for me is Manel Kape. I think Austen Almabayev is a very, very talented and skilled fighter. No knock on him. I think that this is going to be a very tit-for-tat close fight. But I got to go with Manel Kape. He has been up against way better competition. He has the loss to Muhammad Mokaev, but he went out and absolutely dismantled Bruno Silva. He looked like he was on a complete other level than Bruno Silva in that fight. His striking looked slick. He was not getting hit. His head movement looked phenomenal. He was able to enter and exit the pocket with ease. He was able to maneuver so well in that fight that I can't pick against him. Not only that, against grapplers, yes, he lost to Mokaev, but he showed moments in that fight. He won the first round. He snubbed some takedowns. He was able to get back up to his feet at times and be able to explode back up to his feet. So I got to go with Manel Kape. I think that he outstrikes Almabayev easily. I think that he has a little bit of trouble with Almabayev's grappling, but I think that he could still fare well in snubbing some takedowns, keeping this on the feet, outstriking, outworking, and outdamaging an Austen Almabayev. Almabayev has not been up against a striker like Manel Kape. He has a win over Matheus Nicolau, who got released, the win over Jose Johnson, and the win over CJ Vergara along with Ode Osborne before that. None of these fighters are at the level of Manel Kape. You could say the closest one is Nicolau, where he went to decision with. But I still think Manel Kape can beat Nicolau easy. I really do. So I'm going with Manel Kape. I think that he outstrikes, outworks, and outdamages Austen Almabayev. And I think he uses his grappling to defensively keep this on the feet and not let Austen Almabayev garner that control time and advance positions while he has him down on the ground. Let's go. I got Manel Kape. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight. With Manel Kape sitting at a negative 230, Austen Almabayev sitting at a plus 195. I like Manel Kape. I think he has a striking advantage. I think he's going to be quicker on the feet. I think he's going to be more explosive. I think Manel Kape can deliver a win over Austen Almabayev in impressive fashion. I really do. And over 3.5 sitting at a negative 185, under 3.5 sitting at a plus 155. I honestly think this fight could go the distance. I really do. I think that Manel Kape outstrikes, outworks Austen. I see Austen landing some takedowns as he's being relentless with them. But I still think that Manel Kape can fare well in the sense of snubbing most of those takedowns, keeping this to the feet, maintaining that distance, using that jab to keep Austen at bay, and mixing up his combinations and his quick hands to beat Austen Almabayev via decision. Give me Manel Kape via decision. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.